Are you about to waste your fantasy draft pick on Brian Thomas? Here's why he's a bust. Welcome back to another season of fantasy football. My name is Greg Prescott, and today we're going to talk about the elephant in the room that no one else is talking about. Why Brian Thomas and his quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, are overrated. Now, the Jags brought in Liam Cohen, who worked miracles for Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Baker knew where his bread was getting buttered, and that was through Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Mayfield had a career year and threw for 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns, easily eclipsing his previous highs in both statistics, which is why I expect a regression for Mayfield now that Cohen is in Jacksonville. Last year, Trevor Lawrence got injured in Week 9 and briefly came back in Week 12, only to miss the rest of the season. In those first 9 weeks, Lawrence targeted his alpha wide receiver, Brian Thomas, only 53 times. Thomas had 37 receptions and 5 touchdowns, which works out to a little less than 6 targets a game. Either Lawrence didn't recognize the talent when he saw it, or he was game managing to make everyone happy with targets while basically ignoring his alpha wide receiver, Brian Thomas. In Thomas's last 6 games with backup Mac Jones at quarterback, Thomas had 70 targets, 45 receptions, and 5 touchdowns, averaging 11.7 targets, 7.5 receptions, and 5 TDs in fewer games than Trevor Lawrence. How is it possible for Trevor Lawrence to ignore the obvious talent that Brian Thomas possesses, and why did it take a backup to expose this? A group of Jaguar wide receivers worked out with Trevor Lawrence in the Bahamas in between OTAs and training camp. While this is great for camaraderie, it only reinforces the same game manager approach that Lawrence will likely take in the regular season by distributing the ball to all of his receivers instead of focusing on his alphas, which now includes Travis Hunter, the rookie who has the talent but will likely be part of Trevor Lawrence's game management when it comes to target distribution. Some questions you have to ask yourself: why didn't Lawrence feed Thomas more last season? Why did it take a backup in Mac Jones to see the talent Brian Thomas possesses? Can Liam Cohen get Trevor Lawrence to feed his alpha playmakers? Or will Lawrence try to keep everyone happy by evenly distributing the ball? If you check out my video from last year titled 2024 Fantasy Football, 12 Bold Predictions for 2024 and Beyond, you'll see how spot on I was in prognosticating the future. In Lawrence's case, the writing is on the wall. No matter what Liam Cohen does, yes, I expect to see improvement from their numbers together from last year, but nothing significant, seeing how Lawrence would rather keep everyone happy instead of feeding the talent that surrounds him with Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. Brian Thomas could be the overall number 1 wide receiver if Mac Jones was the starting quarterback. With Trevor Lawrence, I doubt Brian Thomas is in the top 10 wide receivers. Let's look at the fantasy forecasts for Brian Thomas and Trevor Lawrence. Thomas's ADP is above Drake London, who had easily led the NFL in red zone target shares for qualified receivers. While both Thomas and London have great potential upside, I'd be willing to say that Drake London outperforms his ADP more so than Brian Thomas. And it has nothing to do with Thomas's talent. Next year, London's ADP could possibly be top 3 or higher if he stays healthy. What you're buying into is the uncertainty of the London-Michael Penix connection, which is not yet baked into London's overall ADP. As for Trevor Lawrence, his quarterback ADP is around the 18th quarterback selected. In Cohen's offense, he should be able to eclipse his ADP and presents a bargain for that spot. But while everyone will feast a little under Lawrence, no one will feast a lot, even with Thomas and Hunter most likely leading the team in receptions. At Lawrence's ADP, I'd rather take CJ Stroud at the 19th quarterback or JJ McCarthy as the QB 20. especially in dynasty leagues. One last thing I want to mention, and please do not dismiss this. Trevor Lawrence was born on October 6th, 1999. That makes him a Libra. A common misconception is that Libras are all about balance, but the truth is we're constantly seeking balance, and this will heavily influence how and who he distributes the ball to. Trust me, I know. I'm a triple Libra, which means my sun, moon, and rising are all in Libra. They say that those who don't learn from history and the cycles of time are doomed to repeat it. What have we learned about Trevor Lawrence? Well, he's all about ball distribution and not feeding his alpha wide receivers. Bookmark and save this video. Feel free to come back at the end of the fantasy season and rewatch it. If I'm wrong, I'll gladly eat crow, but I'm betting I'm right. Please like, share, and subscribe because in my upcoming video, I have some fantasy football tips that no one is talking about for the upcoming season. Take care.